I'm going to bring up Sheila Anderson, who is going to round things out for us today. Sheila is a personal branding expert. And I wonder if you get this, Sheila, do people get nervous to meet a personal branding expert?
Oh, Rebecca, thanks so much for having me. What a wonderful conference. I've been able to get a little bit of nuggets from jumping on a little early, so can't
Good.
wait to watch the replay. But so the answer is yes. Yes, people, right? We are visual human beings. And so when people know that I do personal branding or image consulting, of course, they're somewhat nervous about their how they're presenting themselves, but the good news is, we're here to help them.
Right. Absolutely. Um, so I'm curious like, who was your first client? Was it a family member or somebody in the neighborhood?
Well,
Maybe
I
not your
I
first paying client, but your first person that you were like, I have to help you.
yes, well, besides myself, because I consider myself maybe my first client, right,
Okay.
trying to figure out how to put myself together. I say that I kind of became my own art project, learning how to, what worked, what didn't work, probably broke every style rule in the book, and that was okay because I really paid attention to how clothing made me feel and how I felt when I looked in the mirror, no matter what size I was. So my first client obviously were some friends. So friends started noticing how I was putting myself together and that got attention. And they said, hey, well, maybe you could come, could you come help me put an outfit together? And it just kind of snowballed from then. And I loved it. And so, after I worked with a couple friends, I thought this really could be a business. I am, very much, very artistic and very creative. I say I was born with a crayon in my hand. So for me, it was like everybody is an art project. It was like a blank slate, blank canvas that I could help create who they are. And doing that internally first. So it's not just putting clothing on a body, it's figuring out who you are on the inside first, and then we can bring out that inner essence to that outer expression.
And so is that how you start when somebody comes to you and or tell me what prompts people to call you up? Are they looking for promotion at work, or what is the thing that makes them think, I should give Sheila a call?
Well, most of the time they feel like they're invisible. They're being overlooked. They're not getting that job promotion. They're not getting the clientele that they want. They're not attracting the right clients. They are not commanding the higher fees that they think they should be getting. And a lot of people, what I'm finding now, are kind of going through reinvention since we've had the pandemic. So a lot of people are trying to reinvent themselves, and with that becomes taking a look at what their personal brand is. And part of your personal brand is the image piece, your appearance and your clothing, and you're creating that signature style, that signature look for you. And it's kind of that reinvention. And a lot of people maybe are leaving the corporate world and starting their own businesses. And so they're trying to figure out now what's my marketing advantage? How I need to really focus on building a strong personal brand that's aligned with my core values, right? Businesses have core values, but do you as a person have your core values? Do you know what those are? And that's kind of where you start with people. And, I have 30 years of corporate branding experience as well. One of the first places you start is figuring out that brand personality. And it's the same with personal branding. We have to figure out what are those 1 to 5 words that you want to own in the minds of others when they think of you, whether you're the brand Coca-Cola or you're the brand of you. So what are those personality traits or those words that you want to own in the minds of others when they think of you? And that's really how you start building your brand, your personal brand. And those words also can tie back to the visual identity of your brand, what I call those visual elements that make up your brand, which really, it's your clothing, It's the color choices you're using. It's all that. As well as, personal branding is expands more into your communication style, your behavior, your website, your social media profile. So it's far reaching, but it's the visual aspects of those of your brand, those visual elements that need to tie back to those 1 to 5 words, your kind of like your brand archetype.
How do people get it wrong? I mean, don't they know who they are? Don't they know what they want to represent?
Yeah, yes, for the most part they do. I think what's really helpful for people is to do what I call a BP check, a brand pulse check. When you're first kind of getting started and just, really digging into who you really are, because we're different people at different levels in our life, right? At different stages of our life. We maybe have grown more, or again, we're reinventing ourselves, or we're have a change in our life. Maybe it's a divorce, or maybe we're getting married, or we're changing careers, or whatever that is. Um, so they they're trying to figure out what's that goal that they have now for their life, um and then trying to figure out how they're coming across. You may think you're coming across in a way that you want to be, but without you asking maybe some mentors, friends, maybe people you've just met, family, just ask a lot of people, um, what are those words that they would use to describe you? Because there's I tell people it's really hard for us to see that outside label when we're inside of the jar. So we may think we're coming across in a certain way, but unless we ask others, kind of doing that brand pulse, that checking your BP, figuring out what other people are, how they're experiencing you. So when I talk about personal branding, I define it as owning that experience that others have with you. So you're the
Mm,
chief experience officer of you, because a brand isn't just your logo, and it's not just your website, and it's not the colors that you're wearing. It's that overall experience that you create when people are in your presence, and then when they're thinking about you afterwards, or if they're referring you to a potential client or something, they're
I
remembering that experience with you.
I really like that definition, taking responsibility for other people's experience of you. Like branding, personal branding, your personal brand, that's very common nowadays. How did that
Yeah.
become a thing? Was there like a person who started that, or did it just somehow wander into the zeitgeist? How do we have this idea of personal brand?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. So personal branding, the concept of personal branding came about in probably like I think it was like the late 1990s. And there was a gentleman by the name of Tom Peters, who is a business management writer. And he wrote an article called The Brand of You that was published in Fast Company magazine. And I believe it was in 1997. And in that article, he wanted people to start thinking of themselves as a brand, and then to use marketing techniques to start promoting themselves. And so that's kind of how it came about. But then, of course, in the early 2000s, became social media became a thing, and then it helped us really expand, or have a a bigger platform for us to use to really expand out our personal brand. And so it just really kind of exploded in the 2000s, and now it's very common. And
I
one thing that
I
I think,
I was gonna say I never knew that Tom Peters is the father of
um,
personal branding.
yes, but if you think about it, way back when, if you even into the silent movie time of our lives, you had Charlie Chaplin, and he really created this signature, like, or this brand for himself. So it goes way, way, way back. If you kind of look through history, you can really kind of pull out people in history that probably have really were doing personal branding before we knew it was we knew it was a thing.
Interesting. Um, when people come to you and they're seeking their help, are you ever like, hey, it's actually 180 degrees different from what you think? Or is it more like you're just 45 degrees off?
Yeah, they're typically not that far off.
Okay.
I wouldn't say, it's a whole turnaround. Um, my clients typically have been pretty darn close. We just need to refine it more.
Gotcha.
And a lot of the people already are in business, and they're right. So they have their goal set. They have they're self-disciplined, they're great at decision making. They know who they are for the most part. So for them, it's just doing a little bit of fine tuning. So I tell people, I'm not going to change you. I'm just going to enhance some things about you that we want to bring so you become top of mind. That's what we want. When we want people to, people need to know you before they need you. And so their overall goal is for you to be top of mind when somebody's thinking about hiring somebody or needs somebody in whatever industry that you're in. And it's up to you to own that category, right? Own that industry, own that category, and to remain top of mind.
Got it. So so you're not Stacy London on what not to wear.
Yes and no. No.
Okay.
I do go through your wardrobe, right? But it's all based on the goals we have for you and your lifestyle and the message that we want to send. So we can do that with clothing. So I do go through your wardrobe, and I'll say yes, yes, no, 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 this needs to go. I am not I, it's not there's obviously a change, right? There's obviously a change, there's obviously a difference in people. But I'm not taking people um, to something that they haven't maybe somewhat envisioned for themselves.
Gotcha. Um, you had mentioned that a lot of people now are coming to reinvent themselves and COVID and such. Is there anybody who's safe? Is there anybody who's, high enough in the up the corporate ladder that as long as they keep wearing that navy blazer and khaki pants, that they're fine? Or the programmer who wears those silly t-shirts and jeans that don't quite fit, but he's so smart. Is there anybody who's can go without doing this for themselves?
No. the answer the answer is no. Everybody needs that. And we don't want to become complacent with our look, because we can look dated really fast. And if you look dated, then very often we translate that, our brains translate that to maybe their thinking's outdated, maybe their business is outdated, all the tools they're using are possibly outdated. So we don't want to become complacent. I'll say that, a C-level executive in a large company probably already has a pretty strong personal brand, but they can't get complacent, because you have to, right? Times change. New things are coming up, new things are happening, there's new opportunities. Maybe they want to grow their business, and so their brand has to continue to evolve with them. They maybe don't need as much help as that startup or that entrepreneur that's looking to really gain some market share and doing that through personal branding. But you know, here's one thing to think about. If I say to you, what does a school teacher look like? You've just pictured somebody in your brain and what that person looks like in that industry. If
Mhm.
I say to you, what does somebody working in the tech field look like? You've pictured somebody. If I say to you, what does somebody in banking look like? You already have a picture. So we already have in our minds, from confirmation biases, on what we think people look like in that industry. And if we meet somebody in that industry and they don't look like it, sometimes there's a little bit of a disconnect. However, I don't want people to be so put into silos, right? To be put into that the bank can't have business casual. They can have business casual. They can make it, you can make it look professional. The tech IT people that are running around in t-shirts and jeans and hoodies and that whole relaxed, that whole relaxed look. I there's something about that that also is relaxing. Maybe their decision making can be a little bit more relaxed. Maybe how they approach things in professionalism may be a little bit more relaxed. So it really, I beg to differ with people when they say, "Why does it even matter what I wear?" And first of all, I say it matters because you see yourself first. And that gives you a level of self-confidence and self-esteem. If you have yourself put together and you feel good in what you're wearing, then you take your focus off yourself and you can focus on other people because that's really what it's all about, right? It's you bringing your value to other people that nobody else can.
Mm. Whew, that is good. Because I would picture right now, people are concerned, it's a recession, let's cut the fat. What should I not be spending money on?
Mhm.
Um, so if somebody says to you, gosh, once the economy recovers, the market recovers, my clients are back up at this level, then I'll worry about it. What would you say to somebody who has that process in their brain?
Yeah, so and that's true. So right now, when people think about a recession or if money gets a little tight for them, we look for ways to cut, right? To where does it make sense to cut? One of the first places companies cut is the marketing budget. That's the same for individuals as well. We're pulling back on the marketing budget, and I tell you that's the worst place to cut because this is the best way for you to stand out right now because if everybody's pulling back on their marketing, it's that corporation or you personally marketing yourself, that's the best time to stand out because everybody else is pulling back. And so now you're really gonna have a chance to be more visible. So think about that. And then in terms of what you can do to recession proof your personal brand right now that maybe isn't going to cost a lot of money is diversify your skill set, learn some new skills, take that time to there's a lot of online courses, buy books, that doesn't cost that much money, read, attend these type of webinars and conferences that can help you diversify your skill set and build your network, build your community. That doesn't take any money, go to networking events or whatever, or, you know, become part of a different community and really learn to network and then leverage technology. You can write your blogs to help stand out, email marketing, do that yourself. And then in terms of your appearance, when you can't maybe afford to buy new clothing, you can maybe rent clothing. There are thrift shops that you can certainly shop. And I tell people that your favorite place to shop really should be your own closet. Have somebody come in and help you maybe put together some different looks that you haven't thought about, right? As an image consultant, I sometimes will I'll wear the same things and after a while and I'm like, okay, I need to change it up. And so I go in and mix and match some outfits. I would focus on buying just some accessories. There's different ways that you can level up your look a little bit without spending a lot of money. So,
What
you
are
can,
what are some of those accessories that
yeah,
that
for women, I think that there's the scarves are a fantastic piece because you can really use it as a blouse if you want to. You can use it in your hair. You can wrap it around a handbag. You can use it as a belt. There's a lot of different ways that sometimes you can wrap a scarf around your wrist and tie it and have this great look for, a bracelet. So that's a low cost for men. If you do wear a sport coat or whatever, there's, I love pocket squares. I think it adds a lot of interest for men. So those are a couple different accessories that I would think about. And then, your shoes and your hairstyle are the two things that will date you the fastest, and people can look at your shoes especially and they'll make an assumption about how much money you make. And
And is
so
that
if
because people are awful? Or is what, like, why
oh,
does that happen?
yeah, I think, well, we all judge people. We do. In it, right or wrong, we do. We're visual human beings. So everything we do, everything we say, and everything we wear has consequences. It's either strengthening that personal brand that we have, or it's diminishing that personal brand that we have. So you just have to own it, and you just have to be aware of that. And sometimes it's okay that, you know what, I'm not gonna invest in this, and I know that's gonna maybe have a consequence on somebody that thinks negative of me, but I'm okay with that, right? You have to have to be okay with that. But no, we're not, we all do judge people, and it's human nature. I wish we could say that, we don't do it. We all do it. I do it. Everybody does it.
Is there like some psychology to it? Because I mean, yeah, so on the one hand, there's like mean girls or, you know, Guidos who wear full designer top to bottom, with the designer name all over. So there's
Mm.
that. But we're not really talking about that, right? We're talking about there's something about us, our brain, our psyche, where we are evaluating who's in the room with us.
Mhm. Well, we're establishing trust, right? We're establishing a sense of, we want to know who in the room we can trust. And so that comes from, very early on. And even when, if you believe in cavemen, that, cavemen used to grunt, right? Um, and it was establishing trust, right? That's the first thing that we're trying to do. So when we walk in a room, we're looking, who can we trust? And we base trust on several different things. Somebody's body posture. Do they look open? Do they look confident? Um, and then we look at the colors they're wearing, because that sends a psychological message. Blue is a very trustworthy color. Yellow is really fun. I mean, there's all those different psychologies of color. I'm not going to go into all that. How their clothing fits them um, helps us establish some level of trust. So our when we walk into a room, our brains are scanning the room and looking for people that we can trust. And that's the number one thing that we're trying to
So
do.
we're not jerks.
We're not jerks. No. We we can be jerks.
We can be.
We can be, we can overjudge somebody. And if you make a mistake, it's or if you're coming across in a way that is not consistent with who you are, and people have maybe a negative perception of who you are, and it's wrong, then it's up to you to fix that, right? To evaluate, why do people think of me that way? What am I doing that's maybe given that sense, that perception? So there's some self-evaluation that you have to do. I'm not a psychologist, so I don't
Mhm.
dig way into that, but there are, sometimes we overcompensate, right? If that person that's wearing every Louis Vuitton thing under the sun, right? The logo is everywhere. Sometimes that is a self-esteem, maybe a self-esteem issue, or they're overcompensating for something that they're not confident in. So
Gotcha. Um, what is your advice if somebody's like, I'm not sure about this garment, this style, this whatever?
it, so I tell people to take a chance.
Okay.
I would rather have you get it all wrong than to not even, cross over that line and to take a chance. I think we play it too safe. So as an image consultant, I try to have people, step out a little bit further than, I grab them by the hand. Okay, we're gonna, go to the next step. We're gonna go to the next step, just to step out a little bit further. But take that chance, and it's okay. But pay attention again, where I started at the beginning. Pay attention to how you feel in what you're wearing, because that will really set you up for the day and yourself self-confidence and your self-esteem. And we all know we've all, been there. We put on something and we fudge with it all day long and we don't feel, you know, there's not joy in it, right? We're not happy about it. We're not excited about, there's some swagger sometimes when you put something on and you're like, okay, I look good in this. I know it fits me. It's sending the right message. I can go out and conquer the world. And now I have the confidence, right, to go pursue my goals.
Tell us one or two of your favorite success stories. Somebody who really took your advice and came back and was like, "You won't believe it." And you were like, "I believe
Well, I have two.
it."
And one of them was the chief people officer for a city. She worked for the city government.
Okay.
She was the chief people officer for the entire city government. And she was an amazing leader, but she needed to polish her personal brand, and she was used to being in the limelight, but we had to position her and her clothing to not overpower the mayor. And so that was a challenge, but we got through it, and it worked beautifully. And she was so happy, and it was wonderful to see her at press conferences and all those types of things, to not overshine the mayor, right?
Was she afraid she would have to lose her personality?
She was a little, because she was very dynamic, and she had a very uh dramatic style about her, right, in her clothing. And so we kept some of that drama, but maybe we made it in navy blue and not black. Um,
Mm.
so there was different things that we did. So wonderfully, she has since left that position and has her own consulting company and still uses a lot of the things. The other one was somebody that was just, your average worker in a bank, administrative assistant, but had a desire to be a supervisor. She had just started in the bank. It was her first banking job. And she literally came to me and she had 20 items in her wardrobe and that was it. Didn't have a lot of clothing, didn't know how to dress herself. And so I loved working with her because she was just like, our budget was really, really tight, but we were able to bring her self-confidence up with her clothing choices, that now she's a manager at that bank. So she moved to
Oh,
supervisor, and then now she's a manager. And it's been wonderful to watch it, because for her it was mostly about the self-confidence that she needed, and clothing was what helped with that.
and it sounds like you're like, "Let's get you the clothes because that will bring the confidence. Don't wait until you feel confident to go get the clothes."
Yeah, and buy the best that you can afford, right? Quality over quantity always wins.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. It's been so fun, Sheila, having you be a part of this every step of the way. It's just been wonderful. You've been so gracious and to me as the host. And I'm so curious what you think of my outfit, but you don't have to say it on camera.
I love it. I know. You do a phenomenal job, and if people are not coming to you and hiring you, I don't know why they're not. I mean, they need to be, so
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to share your information with everybody in the follow-up email. And thank you for your time, Jonathan. We can let Sheila go. She has many more people to help today. And I am just going to express to everybody who's been here for some or all of it live, whatever you got, there was even more available to you.